Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Tam's story. We're going to pick up right where we left off as you were making your way to Sabine Salt's, the herbalist on the other side of town from Cavi's outside the city gates. So,
Excellent.
uh, we can say, as you are approaching the herbalist shop, please roll me a perception check.
I shall do so. Eh, 12.
Okay. I'll remind you, you're heading to the Fool's Porch, so you're out
Yeah.
here. Uh, oh, that ping is terrible. I need to fix it, but whatever. Um, this is the Fool's Porch, the north side of town. You've kind of meandered your way outside of the city, away from the gates that were immediately next to the Fool's Porch, because of your encounter with the Gold's Watch.
Right.
You saw there was what looked like maybe a crime scene or an accident had happened, and they were there. So, in the choice of prudence, you decided to go around, which is a little bit of a detour, but you didn't have any problems. You just discovered poor Turnbuckle's burning down alchemy shop. As you arrive within the Fool's Porch, it doesn't take you long. With that 12 of perception, it's the city of Augur City is fairly well laid out. The main streets seem to have most of the commercial businesses right on them, and then off of those, either residences live above the buildings that they run, or the alleys behind them are where people live. So
Okay.
Sabine Salt's handsomely decorated with a large wooden plaque made of what looks like an entire oak tree's bark that's cut off of it and flattened out.
Oh, wow.
Uh, the herbalist shop is not small. It's smaller than Cavi's or the general store, but it's bigger than Bud's Buds back in Ferrum.
Okay. And are we, just for my knowledge, it seems like this is more of a merchant district. Is this kind of like a middling part of town? Because we had run into those urchins, and that I don't know if that was like in a different part of
So,
town.
okay, so I have the map here for you.
Yeah.
You see that Augur City has walls around it.
Yes.
And the Ferrygate district, which is where you passed through when you ran into those street urchins, that seems to be not the slums, but like the lower middle
Adjacent to.
class.
Sure, sure, sure.
Uh, you know, like the skilled laborers and such. That seems to be where they live. And then the
Sure.
Fool's Porch itself is not actually like a commercial district. It seems like it's more of the northerly receiving part of town, where you see there's lots of import and export going on
So
entirely by land.
So like kind of a almost suburban because of the walls, or not quite.
Not quite, because in the Fool's Porch is the station for the Silver Express, which is
Oh,
the only earth gliding tram in Aurelia. And you see that it leads directly north. It's kind of a high end place. So the fact that it's in the Fool's Porch, it's not within the city gates, which is a little odd to you. You're not entirely
interesting.
sure why, but there is a Ceresian embassy right next to it.
Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. It's good to take note of, considering that we're working for this region.
Yes, that's outside the city gates. That's uh, the actual express station is this structure here,
Okay.
this wide one that you can see is a little oblong trapezoid.
Yep.
Um,
Got it.
so it's not suburbs. It's more like the industrial district almost.
Sure. Got it. It. I just thought that because it was outside the wall, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. So this is sort of like it's like tacked on, but outside the wall.
Exactly. There's lots of carriages, excuse me, carriage rental places, lots of offloading and loading. Looks like warehouses out here. Um,
Sure. Okay. Got it. So like the transport district, kind of.
exactly. And then closer to the gate, but on the other side, you see there is Sabine Salts. It looks like a building that's older than most of the other buildings here. It was likely here before all of these crazy, wacky industrial buildings were built. and it has a very naturalist look, which seems almost a little bit out of place amongst the brick and mortar and thick wood of the other structures that are out here. So, as you approach the herbalist shop, doors open.
Okay. Does it seem like what time is it now? It's like late afternoon,
Early afternoon.
early
It's
afternoon.
like 1.
Great. We will pile into the shop.
Okay. As you head into the herbalist
There's
shop,
a tree in the middle.
yes, there is.
That was me, and also, honestly, that's an in character reaction for Tam.
Fair
Also,
enough, yes. Makes sense. It's quiet in here. It smells profoundly of sweet incense, but it's kind of underlaid with the telltale smell of not rotting, but very much later on in its years, vegetation and herbs. That older, dried smell that comes from, well, when you dry herbs. It's very thick in here, and it's not unpleasant. And most of the windows are open, letting a breeze pass through the store when you step in. And as you do, the door gives a small bell, and you hear, "Be right with you." Do you do anything
um,
immediately? Do you try and scout anything, or
uh,
are you just
Tam
waiting?
is taking in the ambiance. What kind of like people? What kind of clientele? Is there anybody in here? Is there any other customers, or not so much?
There's a few other customers. They look like locals. You get the picture that this is not a tourist location. This is the sort of place that the locals hit, basically for their regular staples for whatever it is that they do. Roll me an investigation check.
Okie doke. And how are my party members also reacting to being? Ooh, that's good. 20.
Hiram looks interested. Skolna is perhaps looking closely in certain places.
For poison, I
Sagona
imagine.
looks bored. Um, that's generally what you get.
I'm
Wash
going to.
looks out of her element.
I mean, Wash is always a little bit out of her element.
Yes.
Poor Wash. Um, uh, Tam is gonna lean over to Sagona and go. Seems like we got to handle this with a little bit of caution. Will you make sure to like keep an eye out for any suspicious characters? They said that we shouldn't be followed.
Already looking.
All right,
I haven't seen
thanks.
anything yet.
Appreciate it. You're better at looking than I am.
You know it.
Uh, okay. So investigation was for my party members, or was
Was
for
for the clientele. You're trying to get an
for the
idea of
clientele?
something.
Got it. Okay.
20. Okay, so what you notice, there's a few things you notice. There's a few, like, staples near the front counter that are obviously more purchased than others. You see there is a
Interesting.
large, like, cask. It looks like a brass and wood cask set on top of the counter.
Hmm.
And you see there's lots of, like, substance from the cask, like, spattered all over the counter, so it's clear it's gotten into a lot. People are
Sure.
buying a lot of this, and when you look at it, it's linseed oil.
Oh, for armors and stuff and
Yeah,
such.
you notice that's a common purchase. You also see behind the counter, are you proficient in an herbalism kit?
I am proficient in the healer's kit. I don't know if they're the same.
It That helps. You notice that one of the herbs that you were sent to get here, Grain's Root, there's not
Yep.
much of it left behind the counter. You see that they have like these wooden shadow boxes that are filled with the various herbs that are set up to dry. And the Grain's Root box, which is labeled Grain's Root in fine hand, there's not much of it in there.
Oh
There's
no.
lots of other herbs, some of them also having similar amounts taken, but without the training, you don't know what they're for.
Okay. Do I know what Grains Root is for? I can't. I think I asked
Healing,
Zurich, and I
healing
can't remember.
cells.
For healing cell. Okay, that makes sense.
There's various other herbs that you think are a similar purpose, but there's a lot of herbs behind this counter, like on the wall behind it, like you'd imagine the cigarette display in a convenience store, except it's all herbs.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and then suddenly a gnome stands up from behind the counter, or seems to emerge. Maybe he climbed some stairs? You're not sure. He just suddenly appears, and he says, "Good morning. How can I help you?"
Good
Or it's
morning.
afternoon, isn't it? I've been down there a while. Sorry. What can it do?
Good morning. Is your name Peck?
Peter Peck. That's me. Hi.
Great to meet you. I'm Temerity. This is my little crew. We're not from in town, but I've been sent here at the request of a mentor. He's looking for grains root. Seems like you don't have a lot of it, but he gave me 20 gold. Is there
Oh.
20 gold worth in there? Seems like maybe not.
There are. Let me go check. Let me go check the roots. I'll be right back.
Thanks.
And you hear as he quietly climbs back down the steps. It's clear it is a root cellar that he's going into. Do you make any other investigations while he's out of the room?
Um, does he seem Kayan at all? Like, is there any sort of indication around or in his like general manner about like why he would be in this why he would be
R-
an ally here?
Roll an insight check.
I know I had like a super brief exchange with him, so
Yeah.
11.
Um. His accent sounded a little can.
Okay.
You're not entirely sure. It might have just been an affectation picked up from being in Augur City. It's
Sure.
kind of a melting pot here. There's lots of people. So with an 11, that's kind of all you get.
Unclear. Yeah. Okay, here's a question. Are there any plants particularly that are like Kayan in origin that I can look for to see if they're like low on stock because of the embargo?
Uh, roll a nature check.
Okay. I'm not great at this. Oh, yeah, it's a 5.
A 5. You like. So herbalism and herbs back home was never a priority for
That's
you.
fair.
The incense was an import that your dad frequently got, but it didn't. There wasn't a specific kind.
Sure.
It was generally just like the sense of magos, which is generally like the sort of incense that tries to mimic the sense of parchment and vellum.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
it makes sense. Is there, just out of curiosity, is there a particular incense for the fiddler, or is the fiddler like more? It seems like fiddler is maybe more of an auditory god.
Um, there's not really a. It's not really. So temples that are to the fiddler, they don't try and promote study, uh, and deep focus as much as they try and provoke creativity and such. So,
Wonder why Tam wanted to be with this god instead.
yeah, it's curious. So, frequently, shrines or temples to the fiddler are more akin to almost performance studios,
Yeah, makes sense.
where it's not like there is pews and an altar. It's more like a stage
Yeah,
with,
stage, a little jam session.
yeah, frequently there are drinks provided in a temple to the fiddler. It's almost more like a, well, more like a cabernet or like a
Yeah,
bar, a fancy one.
yeah, makes
But
sense.
less about, the vices and more about the creative exploration.
Camaraderie. Okay, got it, got it. I know exactly. I am thinking of the lower section of like an Irish bar that I know. That I'm just like, this is the vibe. I know the vibe.
I'm glad I got that across. It's kind of a difficult god to explain to
No,
people.
I got it. I got it.
But yeah, there's very few similarities between Magos and the fiddler.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Tam first got here, he looked all over town for a temple for the fiddler, and was only able to find that one shrine in the cleric classroom. And now that we're in Argus City, I'm like, oh, but there's got to be one here. This is maybe a side quest for him to go on at some point.
Sure.
Um, anyway, Yeah, he's not seeing anything about the herbs. He will kind of look to see that there are maybe not as many other people around, to kind of like check that out. So next time this person Peck comes back up, he can maybe talk a little bit more quietly.
Okay. It takes a few minutes. And then he emerges carrying a burlap sack that's set into a crate, and it's full of this fine, it almost looks like green wheat, and sets it on the counter. And he says, "All right, it's 20 gold, 20 gold worth of grains right here for you."
Thank you so much. Is there any particular way I should store it or anything?
Um, he kind of looks
No.
at it and looks at you, and he says, "Well, how long until you plan to use it?"
Well, my mentor kind of does live back in shoot, sorry, what's the name of the town? I'm blanking.
Ferrum?
Ferrum. Yes, my mentor does live back in Ferrum, so I want to make sure, like, I want to make sure. I imagine don't get it rained on on the way back and stuff like that.
Uh, it's been kept cool, so I don't get it wet. I recommend you keep it covered. If you have a bag of holding, that's the best.
I don't think we do actually.
That might be
But
a wise stop for you to get one of them.
we can maybe pick one up while we're here. I don't know how much money I'm gonna have about this, but yeah, sure. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, One other thing, and he'll lean in a little and lower his voice. Um, he'll say, I got a friend at Cavies. He says the retrieval program's on for tonight.
Uh, Peck, his eyes widen a little, and he kind of pulls at his beard, which I can do now. Haha.
You can do that.
He kind of pulls at his beard thoughtfully, and he says, "Is that so? All right, I'll get my paperwork together and
Yeah,
tell
I
him
mean,
I'll be there."
I'm a bit of a bard, and I'm playing, so you might want to, you know, might be the night to come.
Point taken.
Mhm.
Uh, he kind of nods to himself, um, and then he like looks across the room, and you notice that there's a dragonborn, a blue one who's been like in the corner, kind of a skinny one, and he says, "Hey, Yaka, you're on shift tonight." And the dragonborn just looks over and goes, "All right." It doesn't look like that was the original plan. Um, then the dragonborn just kind of glumly walks out and says, "I'm gonna go get some rest then." Peck turns back to you, and he says, "This friend of yours, does he know how many we're expecting?"
You know, that's a great question. I didn't ask him that. But you know, my little group here, he kind of gestures to his team. We'll definitely be there. And I know there's going to be at least two folks that we escorted into town. Him and him and his granddaughter.
Hey, no bother. I'll find out for soon enough for myself. All right. Uh, if that'll be everything then,
That'll be everything. Thanks so much.
good day to you.
See you tonight. Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a performance.
He smiles at you and then like puts the gold in the register next to him. And then some more customers appear, and you feel remarkably dismissed.
Yep, I will. I'll scurry out. It was definitely just a regular old transaction.
Mm-hmm. Nothing
Um,
unusual here.
Nothing unusual at all. Do I have a sense of how much a bag of holding might run me?
Roll a history.
Okay. That's pretty good. 21.
Based on what you've heard or seen, a bag of holding likely will run between 200 and 300 gold.
And we haven't been paid for the job yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. And Tam, as we know, did not make much money because he was busy doing homework. Um, okay. He is going to look up pleadingly at Hiram and say, "Will you be okay to carry this? And, um, yeah, would you be okay to carry this while we go across town?
Hiram looks at the crate of greens root and he says, "Yeah, that's fine."
Thanks. I would do it, but you're way stronger than I am.
Hiram like pulls his pack off, sets the crate within it, and then he covers it with the canvas and puts it back on his back.
Thanks. It Peck makes a good point. We should maybe pick up a bag of holding for the group.
It might be
Uh,
wise.
is that I don't have very much right now until we get paid, but is that something that everyone would be willing to go in on a little bit so we can have it?
Uh, at the pause, Hiram says, "I don't have much myself."
Okay,
Um,
we'll wait until we can get paid. Brains root will be fine in our room until for a while.
probably. Uh, you become keenly aware that your team might not be the most flush with cash. Um,
We literally just graduated. Makes sense.
yeah.
All right. Let's go back. Let's go back then. Is there anything anyone wants to do while we're in town?
I'd like to see if there's a temple in near, if that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be in the Temple District, I would really love to see. I've never been to a Temple of the Fiddler either.
Sagona glances at you with a raised eyebrow.
What?
Sure you have.
I mean, not like a traditional temple.
You've been in a tavern, haven't you?
I mean, yeah, but what I mean is like a traditional temple with other people that worship the Fiddler.
Oh, well, maybe you'll find one.
Just, there's something nice about the ritual of it. I don't have to tell you that.
Roll an insight check.
24.
24. Sagona gives you this look that you see through. It's the kind of look that somebody gives you that's like, yeah, right. Like, of course they know what you're talking about, but they don't.
Interesting. Oh, that's something to talk about. In Tam's head, Tam was like, that's something to talk about later. Yeah, all right, let's go.
As you make your way away from the Fool's Porch, back
I'm also
toward
going to keep my eye open for anything honey related for Skullna.
honey related. Okay,
Very important. Any sort of
roll
snacks.
roll an investigation check. There might be a reason you don't have much cash.
Natural 20!
You
Literally
so
ridiculous. Natural 20 on.
yeah. As you're passing through the ferry gate, you spot a number of places that offer honey. The general store itself offers honey and honey treats, but they're basically like the sort of honey treats that the shop owner's best friend makes and sells them on the counter. There is actually a candy store within the Windstar district that is right by, like, the Windstar district is where Cavies is. On the northern side of it, you see a candy shop that has actual honey candy. Candy made from honey in the shape of, like, these small, soft, almost like caramel chews, except it's honey chews.
Are there those little candies that I came with? Is any possibility of any of those? Those little like herbal.
That's pretty
soft-
slim, but I'll roll for you.
Seems slim considering the embargo, but like definitely.
You happen to find in that same candy store, they have imported specialties, and the cayenne herb candy is one of them.
Incredible. Yeah, we're Tam is like, give me a second. Tam.
When you run into it, Hiram's like, "Weren't we saving for a bag of holding?"
The candy doesn't cost that much, and we're gonna get paid soon.
Okay.
And I haven't had these in such a long time. They're delicious. They're delicious. I'll get some for you.
You don't have to.
I'm gonna though. They're so good, and I can't believe they're here.
Um, okay, so you can buy basically any candy you want here.
Amazing.
Because I rolled a natural 20 on the candy stock. So,
Okay, what does everybody like? Do I have a sense of what everybody likes? Obviously, honey candy for Skulna.
Sagona likes dark chocolate a lot.
Of course, got it. And I would know that from being her best friend.
Um, Hiram, roll an insight check on Hiram.
Because if I anything that I can get that's like I imagine he's kind of druidy, so maybe something. I think he'll like the can. Ooh, I'm rolling pretty well on insight today. 21.
You catch Hiram glancing at the sugar cane.
Got it. Sugarcane for Hiram.
Um, Wash likes anything jellied. Um,
Cute.
whether they be gummy creatures or just the actual like jelly rounds, she seems to be gravitating toward those of the various flavors. And you know, Skolna enjoys honey.
Amazing. So I'm gonna get a handful of each of these things for all of my friends.
Okay. Um, it's gonna for a candy supply for your entire party. It's gonna cost you about 6 silver.
Okay, that's so reasonable. That's so reasonable. 100%. In
Okay.
fact, I will even spend an entire gold to just really stock up on
You buy
candy.
so much fucking candy. A gold worth of candy is an insane amount of candy. You leave with like a 4 pound bag, uh, full of candy.
Incredible. I love that for me. It's a very damn thing to do.
Sagona's like chewing on dark chocolate bar because you're leaving, and she was like, "All right, that was worth it."
Right? We have to have some fun. Um, he will offer one of the KN like herb candies to he'll offer him to really the whole group.
I mean, everybody will try one.
Yeah, I don't know if
Um,
they're all gonna like him as much as Tim likes them.
so they kind of have almost like a rosewater flavor to them.
Okay.
Wash loves them. Sagona is like, ah, am I eating a leaf? She's not a fan. Um, but Hiram likes them as well. Uh, I think, okay, Skolna thinks they're okay. She takes one, she's like, "Hmm," and then just keeps eating her honey. So you have the whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Uh, well, he will bond with Wash then. He'll be like, yeah, yeah, you can have another one.
She just kind of shrugs and I will not say no, and she'll eat another one.
Incredible.
Uh,
Um,
Go ahead.
I do think it's important because we were asked to not be followed. Can I make like a, because we kind of speed run the rest of the time we already are at the candy shop. Do you want me to like retroactively roll for encounters since we were walking all the way across the city again?
No.
Okay. Um, yeah, got it. But I will like just to say it, I will have kept an eye on to make sure we weren't followed in the same way because we were directed to not
In that
follow.
case, you can retroactively roll me a perception check.
Rad. Come on, come on, come on, come on. 23.
Okay. You are pretty confident you were not followed.
But there was a roll about it, so that's interesting.
Of course, there was. I could have
Okay.
been rolling for my favorite soda pop. You don't know.
I will go back. I will go back and report all of this to Al if he is still. Is he still there? He's still like. Where is Al? Is he like available
Alacaster?
to us?
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so you return to Cavies.
Making the cabbies.
Yeah, Alacaster and Annabelle are still here, and you notice it's a little different within Cavies now. The main area, which still has customers coming in and out, looks pretty much the same, except there are two barrels next to the front door that were definitely not there before. One on each side of the door.
Weren't there mysterious barrels before, though, of a different kind?
There were containers, but they were working on them at the time
Okay.
when you were leaving. Now you see Alacaster and Annabelle are at a table. Uh, Alacaster is sipping in a mug of something, and Annabelle like has a book open, and she is currently, it looks like she's drafting something. They are doing something else, and these two barrels are isolated and seem like they almost look like they're too perfect to be where they are. They
Do
look
they look
like
like
the
gunpowder barrels or something? That's the only thing I can think of would be in a with Alacaster. Like, do they smell like anything?
a roll investigation. So the first thing you do when you enter is you're like, you like crouch down and start inspecting these barrels. With a 16 in investigation, you notice two things. The barrels look sealed. You see there's wax around the edge, which is typical of like a wine barrel or an ale
Interesting.
cask. They have a firm seal that protects them and their contents from the weather and atmosphere. But with a 16, you also notice that the writing that's on the barrel, which is pretty nondescript. You see, like, one barrel has a 63 on it, which you think might reference a year, but
Hmm.
there's no, like, specific label as to what's in the barrel.
Interesting.
It's almost like these barrels are vague on purpose.
So they probably don't hold wine, is my
Probably
suspicion.
not.
Interesting. But they're made to look like they do, so that's fascinating.
As you're looking
Um,
at them, you hear, "Get a good look."
uh, is this
That was
the
Alacaster.
oh, that was Alacaster.
Yeah.
Hi. Um, yeah, hi.
So what do
Just
you
checking
think?
out. Those are some real interesting wine barrels.
Aren't they, though?
You could carry a lot in those.
You certainly could.
Hmm. Hey, how many people are we expecting tonight? We delivered, you know, we went and I have some grains right now.
Did you talk to Peck?
Uh-huh.
And he said he'll make it.
He said he'll make it. He asked how many people were coming. I said I didn't know.
That was the right question. It means he's coming. All right. Well, first, thank you. You're sure you weren't followed?
I was looking and I didn't see anybody.
Wash also says, I didn't see anyone either. Um, Alacaster kind of nods quietly. Good, good. I, uh, I have another task for you. But
Yeah,
first, and he will set a small pouch on the table in front of you.
excellent.
Said I was good for it.
Appreciate it. It seems like we're gonna need a bag of holding soon.
Ah, might need a little bit more than that, but you'll save up soon, I'm sure. Um, Within that bag, when you do eventually look in it, is 15 platinum.
15 platinum. Okay. And for my clarification, the Marigard, the original task that we were hired for, the escort mission, the Marigard is going to pay us for that,
Correct.
right? No. Okay, got
You also do have transcription papers should you need to report back to Persh.
True. I will say that he did tell us, Al said last time that he would be in touch with Persh, but I am happy to I was actually thinking about that, whether or not I should do that. Like I can do that, but I'm also since I also kind of trust Al to
Mm-hmm.
update Persh.
You could talk to him about it if you like.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say like did you get to talk to Persh about
Oh, he knows the
Persh's
situation.
Okay, great. Well, I talked to my team. Consider us engaged.
Fantastic. That brings me to your next task, if you're ready.
Sure.
Well, ready or not. Time is of the essence. Old Lady Adelon has been in touch, but one of the things that she mentioned, one of, I'm just going to call them the Loyalists, one of Demeric's followers, fellow by the name of Marcos Eniga, a gnome. Lots of gnomes in this town. This one's been seen heading to the seedier districts of town every once in a while. It's not really any of our business, except he never spends quite as much time as one expects when heading to the red light district. At first, you just assume maybe he's running an errand. After 6 or 7 times, though, word starts getting around. So, here's what I need you to do. I need you to head up by the Golden Keep, the legal offices around there, and I need you to find Marcos Eniga. Annabelle. And she looks up. Yeah? The picture you took? And Annabelle, looks confused.
You have a picture of this guy?
Of the gnome? And then she's like, oh! And she pulls out a small bit of parchment, and you see there is an image that looks as though someone literally took, a life shot of something and just put it on this paper and shows it to you. And you see a dark... Oh, just, artificery. A little bit of trickery.
That's incredible. Anyway, what does he look like?
You see there is a small gnome, small even for a gnome, must be under 3 feet tall. Has very thick, curly black hair and dark-colored skin, pointed ears. In the shot, he is looking over his shoulder, almost in the direction of the person who took the image. You see he's wearing fine clothes. What looks like... Roll a history check.
Is he the shot? Does he look startled, because of the positioning of the shot, or is it just
Roll an insight check.
16 history, 12 insight?
His expression looks like he might have heard something and he was looking to see what it was.
Okay.
With that decent history roll, you recognize the colors of a noble family. Not a Kayan one, but a famous one. It is a Terraconan noble house that is... The Eniga house is it's not like a trading family. It's a family of lawyers. Does that make sense? It's a family that's... Their business is known to be legality.
Got it.
The house's colors are brown, blue, and green. And those are the colors that you see him wearing. As well as there is... You don't see a family symbol or a coat of arms, but with that history roll, and he said the name Eniga, you realize who this is.
Does this guy look like a lawyer himself? Does he seem like he's maybe a lawyer himself?
No.
Then?
He does not look... he's not wearing the proper attire that someone in the legal trade would wear.
Got it. Okay.
He's wearing almost too casual of clothes.
So, you need me to find this guy, and you're suspicious of him. What do you want?
Suspicious is the wrong word. I don't really care what he does. I need to know who he's talking to.
Oh, I see. You need to know what these little errands are about.
Mm-hmm. He's just an accountant, from what I understand.
Do you and he is not involved in the retrieval?
He's not our friend. I'll say that.
Okay.
So, hush on what you say to him if you have to. Preferably, you don't have to say a thing to him.
But we just need to figure out who it is that he's talking to for what reason.
Follow him. Be quiet about it. See who he's meeting up with. If it is a personal tete-a-tete or whatever, and he's just quick about it, that's fine. But if it's something else, I need to know who it is he's talking to. And discretion is of the utmost importance, really.
Okay. We want to see how dangerous he might be to us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Any chance? Do you have any sense of what languages he might speak? I would hate to follow him and then not understand what he's saying.
There's a long pause as he thinks about it. That's a good question. Gnomish, probably. Common, most certainly. But knowing the fact that he's an accountant, likely Dwarven.
Okay.
Language of the trades. If there's something else, maybe Draconic.
Okay. He looks at Sigona. Hopefully it'll be the language of the trades then. Anyone else speak Gnomish?
When you ask that, Hiram says, "Yep."
You are a fascinating person, Hiram.
Thanks.
Okay. Then seems like we're covered.
Well, I can't tell you when he's going to be leaving, but I can say, well, you're trained in stakeout, ain't you?
We are. And it seems it is, and you've told us generally where in the red light district he meets up with these folks. So, seems
Well, you're going to
reasonable.
have to do, well, I just know he's in the red light district when he's meeting. I don't know where. You're going to have to find him in the, up by the Golden Keep and tail him.
Okay. We can do that.
I wish you luck.
Thanks. We're on it. Good luck with the meeting tonight.
Oh, thank you. If you're not back by tonight, I'll send a runner and
Okay.
find out what's going on.
Sounds good. See you then.
He nods and takes another big swig from his mug.
Tam will kind of like go back with the group and say, all right, we got a stealth mission. He looks pointedly. Hiram is wearing heavy armor, right?
Yep.
Uh, he, he looks pointedly at Hiram and Sigona and says, how much will you be mad at me if I suggest we maybe go with light arms for this one?
Hiram shrugs and he says, I was trained to fight without armor. I don't like it, but I can.
I mean, hopefully we won't have to fight at all. I mean, if theoretically, it could just be me, Skulna, and Wash. But I'd really rather us all go together.
Do you think that wise?
I don't know. It depends on what's going to be there. But I do think it might be worth a little less defense so we can prioritize stealth.
Hiram looks at Sigona and Sigona says, I ain't taking my arm off. Are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, this is what he was afraid of.
I inherited this. It's mine. It's not going anywhere.
But Sigona, we don't want to hurt anybody, right? Wouldn't it be better to? I'm afraid we're going to get found out.
What? Who are we to them? So what if they find us? What are they going to say? What are these Merigard mercenaries doing out here in the red light district? I'm going to say trying to get fucked.
I guess that wouldn't necessarily even be a lie.
Sure ain't. We're there, I might as well.
Okay, I am going to need you to stay on task a little bit, though. I
Okay.
love you, but we do need to stay on task. However, definitely lie to them. That is a good lie.
It's not really a lie.
He looks at her very pointedly. Isn't it? His eyes flick ever so subtly in the direction of Wash.
No.
Okay.
I'm on my best behavior.
Okay, friend, I believe you.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Hiram says, right. Well, I'm going to go leave my half plate upstairs.
Okay.
And he, I don't know if you know this or noticed this, but Hiram's, like, his armor is adamantine.
Yeah, I've noticed.
So it clatters a lot. It's like, walking near him is like walking near a moving kitchen pantry. But he makes his way upstairs, and then 10 minutes later will emerge, just wearing plain clothes. Well, as plain as they can be, with a large round shield on his back and a longsword hanging on his belt. But he doesn't make any noise. It
Sure.
seems as though Hiram actually has some dexterity to him.
Oh yeah, Tam has picked that up from from the encounters that they've had. I mean, you're gonna be great in a fight, regardless of the armor.
He nods. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Hiram doesn't have to remove his armor. He has medium armor master feat.
Oh, amazing.
So we
He's
rewind.
stealthy. He's stealthy regardless.
Yeah. We rewind, and instead he says, I'm going to be fine.
Okay, I trust you. Let's go.
Okay.
Do you have a thing? Do you have anything that can make us stealthier? Does anyone have anything that can make us stealthier?
Let me see. I think if anybody does, it would be either you or Sagona, but I will look.
I can give us guidance, and that's about all I can do. I don't have. I keep forgetting Pass Without a Trace is not actually a cleric spell because it's only for trickery domain.
Yeah. Sagona definitely doesn't have it. Which really, she can deafen other people. It kind of
Yeah,
makes
she's
sense
not.
that Sagona's not stealthy, being a
Pagoda's
storm
not really
cleric.
the subtlest of clerics.
No.
Subtlety is maybe not her specialty.
Look, if it's a problem, I can just stay here and defend the tavern from whatever ne'er-do-wells might come by.
I mean, you are great at defending a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I would rather have you with us, though.
That's what I like to hear. Right, to the red light. To the Golden Keep first. Okay.
We head to the Golden Keep.
All right, so now you are going to be performing a stakeout until your target appears. I don't know how
I'm
excited you are for this.
I'm going to ask Skolna because Skolna has done Skolna's my first job with Skolna was a stakeout, and it was clear that she knew what she was doing and probably still does as a rogue. So while we're walking, Tam is gonna like kind of ask for her advice about finding this guy.
Skolna says, uh, we need to not be seen like we're waiting for someone.
Okay.
So, let's walk around, look like tourists. Be seen by the guards, but not obvious.
Hmm.
When we see our
Okay.
target, we need a signal.
Okay. What kind of signal do you recommend?
She drops a dagger on the ground.
All right. We can do that.
She bends
That's
down and
it.
picks it up, and then she just looks at the rest of the party. Everybody got something they can drop. On purpose. There's lots of nods, and Wash says, I know. Skolna scowls at Wash and then hands her a dagger. And Wash just kind of tucks it away, and she says, okay. And Skolna says, don't lose it.
Okay. We're tourists in the red light district.
The Golden Keep. We're
The
going to
Golden
the
Keep.
Golden Keep. The
That's
castle.
right. The castle. Okay, sorry. This is me and my not lack of knowledge of the map. Yes, we
So
are going to.
there is no place on the map called the red light district.
Got
Um,
it. Okay,
there is no this be where the brothels be. There is no
I see.
like
This is not
obvious
Amsterdam. This is not Amsterdam.
right.
Okay.
The Hooded Lantern District is what it's frequently called, but it's basically the Southwark,
Okay.
which is across the river. You you might have seen it on your way in. It looks like a kind of just middle class residential district with lots of small like cafes and mom and pop shops around the outside. But you've never really gone in there. You've never really had reason to.
Sure.
None of your jobs before ever took you to the Southwark because you were escorting merchants into the town, which is generally going straight to the Fog Rock or to the Old District and not really anywhere else.
Makes sense.
As you make your way toward Castletown, heading towards the Golden Keep, you are suddenly in the high-end side of Augur City, where the lanterns gleam with oil flames even during the day, and they cast this almost like mosaic of oily color out on the road. It's very pretty all the way down. There are lots
I'm
of
thinking.
banners hanging between each lantern. You're thinking about what?
I'm thinking about Annabelle's invention that she wants to make of that eternal flame.
Yeah. It would definitely save a lot of time here. You actually see lantern lighters with their long poles just kind of walking up the street, fixing the ones that get blown out by maybe ambient wind or just an unfortunate amount of oil. As you make your way into Castletown, heading up through the broad park around the outskirts of it, heading towards the Golden Keep, it is easy to look like a tourist here. There's lots to see. You also notice there are a number of temples that you're passing by within Castletown.
Fiddler, fiddler, fiddler. I'm gonna look for Temple of the Fiddler, and also near because Sagona's with us.
Okay. Roll me a D12.
D12. 11.
You see pretty early on in Castletown. It's like right on the edge between the Fog Rock and the Castletown districts, where this main street that heads from the gate cuts them in two. Right in the main street, there is a handsome place that it doesn't look quite like a tavern. But you see that over the door in an archway, it says the Home of Story and Song.
Is there a little
Which
fiddler symbol anywhere?
it's right underneath the arched words. You see a violin, viola, stringed instrument that looks an awful lot to your trained eye like a fiddle, but it has a subtle eye
That's
within
nice.
the opening.
Incredible, incredible. Tam is immediately delighted, and because they're going to be tourists anyway, he's going to take out his. He's not going to go in, but he is going to take out his fiddle. Since we're out on the street, he's going to try to keep an eye out for the person that we're looking for, but he is going to play a little song with his sword, with his rapier.
As you do that, you see that your team kind of scatters. They're not because of your music, but just they're all trying to keep an eye
Yeah.
out. You do notice that they're all within eyesight of each other along this stretch of
Sure.
the district. So while you're in front of this tavern, quote unquote, the Home of Story and Song, you see that maybe 100 feet away, Sagona is loitering near what looks like maybe a cobbler, and she just like makes eye contact with you and then looks back toward the castle. And you see on the other side, you see Hiram is leaning against a wall watching a group of people play what looks like dragon chess on the side of the street, and he also makes eye contact with you before returning to what he was doing. So, do you try to busk?
I I don't. I think. Do I try to busk? I feel like if I attract people that want to give me money, I'll immediately give it to the temple. Uh, but I'm just standing out here playing music.
Okay, while you're playing music, you hear music and lyrics coming from within the home of story and song. You hear other bards playing tales. You can't quite make out everything that they're saying, but particularly during the forte notes, you hear it, and it's powerful. And they're playing all sorts of instruments. It's not just the
Tam wants to
fiddle.
go in so bad, and he's
I
like, "That
imagine so.
is working."
I need you to make a few rolls for me.
Okie doke.
First one is a d6.
D6. 4.
Okay. How long are you out there? Do you decide to move, or are you staying right there and playing?
It will be hard to get Tam to leave. I mean, like, if he were genuinely a tourist, this is what he would be
This is
doing.
what you'd be doing, yeah, just hanging out in front of this place.
He would just be hanging. I mean, honestly, if he were a real tourist, he would be going inside. But he's not doing. But I think he is. I mean, he'll definitely try to like talk to anyone that kind of like comes by or play with anyone that like joins him out on the street or anything. But like he's just clearly having a great time.
Okay. As you're standing out here playing, an individual who's wearing like a very fine clothes, almost like a suit,
Okay.
all black, but with a like a white undershirt, no tie. Comes up next to you and he's listening to you play. You notice he's wearing a half mask,
Interesting.
and he says, "You are very good.
Thanks.
How have you been
And
playing
then
long?
oh yeah, since I was a kid.
Do you mind if I join you?"
Please.
He steps to the side next to you. He pulls away the half mask, and you realize it's a changeling. His eyes are all white. He has dark hair, and he pulls out a horn. I am Dimitri, by the way.
Tam, nice to meet you.
A pleasure. And he begins to play along with you.
Yay!
As that happens, it doesn't take long before another aspiring musician appears. This one, a dwarf. She looks at the two of you playing and she says, "All right, make room for another." And she pulls out like a drum and a small percussion kit next to it, and she just begins playing with you. I need you to roll a perception at disadvantage, Tam, because you might be a little distracted.
I was trying very hard to keep an eye on
It's
stuff.
fine. Your team is also doing the same.
Not great. 11.
11. Okay. I need you to roll me another d6.
Okay.
5.
5.
Okay. They're playing with you for like half an hour until finally the first one, Dimitri, like puts his horn away and he says, "Alas, I have other things to do, but this has been a joy. I wish
It
you
is.
a good evening."
You're a joy too.
He bows, puts his
So is
mask back on, and vanishes into the crowd.
Love it.
It's not long after that that the dwarven woman, who introduces herself as Serena, says, "It's been fun. I gotta go," and she
Okay.
just packs up her shit.
Okay.
With that 5, as you're playing still and paying attention, you notice across the street on the corner a group of the guard, the city guard, not the Gold's Watch, but the city guard have, maybe there's like 2 or 3 of them. They've appeared within the last 20 minutes or so, and they every once in a while keep glancing over at you.
Okay. Um, I'll give one of them a jaunty little like salute and go back to playing my fiddle.
The guard that you give a salute to approaches. It is a Goliath.
Okay.
And when he approaches, he kind of tilts his visor up and he says, do, do you know the Giant Step? It's a song that you immediately recognize.
Yeah, I know that.
Could you play that one?
I burst into it immediately.
He smiles and then he goes, I need you to roll me a performance.
Yeah. Oh, please dance. Oh, please dance.
He's on
I'm
duty. He's
playing.
not going to dance.
I'm playing with Soul Singer, so I get advantage.
Okay.
Natural 17, 28.
As you start playing the Giant Step, a famous tune, a Tarraconan one that is kind of well known by every tavern ever. He smiles. He begins to like bop his head to the beat and the harmonics that you're playing, and he just says, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And then the guard that was with him, who's much shorter but still has the helmet on, you can't tell what race he is just from the appearance. He just kind of nudges him in the chest and he says, "Happy now, are ya?" And he just nods as they keep walking. You have made a guard happy, so well done.
Yay! Well, actually, and this is the Gold's Watch that was doing that.
No, that was a guard. It was just the city
And
guard.
randomly a guard. Okay, great. A good sort of balances out the interaction with the Gold Watch earlier.
Okay, I need you to roll me another d6.
Okie doke.
6. As you're watching, like, as those guards begin to make their way away, you've still been playing this whole time, and suddenly, you see Sagona, who's, like, made her way up along the street and looks like she's window shopping, or at least that's what she looks like she's doing. You see she suddenly looks at you, and she drops her mace on the ground.
Okay. I make eye contact with the others. I want to make sure that the others see also.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get a sense that everybody else noticed?
No. Okay, so you're the only one who can see Sagona.
Oh, okay.
So you have to pass the signal on.
That's okay. Got it. Okay. All right. I will, I'll put I'm obviously not going to drop my fiddle, but I will, kind of like I'll take take it out from under my chin and kind of just like, like I'm taking a break for a second and like look like I'm going to lean the Soul Singer down, but kind of tip it so it also clatters.
So you drop Soul Singer basically.
Yeah. Not like obviously, but
sure.
Yeah.
As you do that, you hear in your mind, "Hey, could have dropped something else." As Soul Singer bounces off the ground. You see Hiram drops a gauntlet. You see down the line. Well, you don't see, but then you see Sagona is looking a direction, and she like looks at you and then does the eye point.
Yep.
Roll me a perception with advantage.
Ooh, thanks, Sagona.
With a 23, you spot. He's not wearing exactly the same clothes that was in the image. It looks like he's like wearing a white undershirt and a slightly different coat, but it's got the same colors. You see this gnome heading. You see he like departs from like the gates in front of the Golden Keep, heading down the road in your direction, but he's like 200 feet away. Sagona spotted him almost immediately as soon as he appeared.
Got it. I will pick up Soul Singer and apologize to her again.
That's fine. Everyone.
I will play something while this guy approaches, so it doesn't look like I'm following. I'm gonna switch to something kind of slow that I can only play like 1 or 2 rounds of. and kind of like follow him with my eyes.
Okay. You hear, well, you don't hear, actually, everyone's being very quiet, but your team kind of begins to head in your direction, except for Sagona, who stays where she is. She has her boot up, and someone is shining her boot right now.
Got it.
They're like making small talk at her, and she's like, yeah, right. What? Just not listening to him at all as that happens. I need you to roll a deception check at advantage.
Okie doke. $25. 24.
Okay, easy. The gnome, this individual, you know by the name of Marcos Aniga, does not pay any attention to you or to Sagona. Makes his way down the road. He's still a ways away, but he's clearly heading down this street. Looks like anybody just making their daily walk, heading in the direction, maybe home, maybe to whatever it is that they're doing. And as he walks by, he doesn't even glance your way or Sagona's way.
Fantastic.
How do you follow him?
Well, I'm going to dip behind a building, and I'm going to cast Disguise Self on myself.
What is the DC for your spell?
My spell DC, because this is an innate once a day spell casting thingy I get from being, this is the first time I've done this, from being a tiefling. 17 is my DC.
Okay. So that DC only applies if someone decides to investigate you.
Sure.
Typically, if someone sees you have cast Disguise Self, like if somebody sees you in a disguised form, they don't immediately assume that you are in disguise.
Sure.
So, what have you disguised yourself as?
I look like, let's see. I look like just a human, just like a kind of plain, still, my eyes are not red anymore. They're like a light blue, kind of like sandy hair, medium height, relatively short, still male, nondescript.
Okay. Basically as vanilla a guy you could think of.
Yep.
Okay. As you do, you slip behind cover, change form, and then how far away from this fellow are you trying to keep yourself?
I want him to stay in my sight line, but I want to be kind of far back.
So I'll say the farthest back you can be and still keep an eye on him is like 60 feet.
Sure, 60 feet's fine.
Okay.
And is anybody near me? Are any of my teammates near me?
So Sagona saw you change, so she knows that you have disguised. I will say Hiram, I'll roll a perception for him because he was the other way. Hiram didn't see you change, but he sees Sagona. So Hiram is coming up that side. Skolna and Wash didn't see you at all, and they're moving to catch up with Hiram.
Got it. I'm gonna minor illusion real quick to Hiram, a little fiddle symbol, so he knows it's me.
I don't understand. How do you
Like
mean?
I haven't. Like how far away is Hiram from me?
At this point, 50 feet.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a little minor. I'm gonna like kind of like out to Hiram, kind of in my hand. I'm gonna do a little symbol of fiddler on my hand to kind of give him a sense that like this disguise self.
So you've made eye contact with Hiram and done this. Okay.
Yeah.
Hiram looks at you confused because he doesn't know who you are, and then he sees that and he goes, "Oh." Seems like he got the picture. He's wise enough that it wasn't that hard. Okay, so I have some dice to roll.
We are, stealthing also. That.
Yep, we'll do that in a minute, first and foremost. Okay. And then one of these. Okay. Alright, as your group kind of like gathers in this mob of people trying to not look like they're following someone, and you are making your way. I'm going to switch over to the city map so you can see where we are. Your tail started about here, right on the N of Castletown. And you are going to be making your way all the way through the Fog Rock, out through the Market Square in the center of Fog Rock, which is what this big open space is, down through the gate out of Four Forges, and then through Four Forges, across the river, and into Southwark. So it's a good walk that you're following this guy for. But it is necessary. It's going to be a number of rolls, and depending on how well you rolled is going to determine how much information you might be able to get.
I am going to, before we do this, I'm going to get close enough to Sagona to touch her. I'm going to cast Enhanceability, Dexterity, Cat's Grace on her, so she rolls straight roll for stealth.
Okay. Does that drop Disguise Self as its concentration?
It does not. I checked. Disguise Self is not concentration.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, then I need your team to roll stealth for me.
Yep. That's a natural 1. I'm going to burn one of my inspirations.
Okay. Hiram rolled a dirty 20. Skolna is invisible.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Wash is on a 17. Sagona is on an 18. I rolled 18. Flat.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then you're on a 21?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys rolled really well in stealth. Okay. Poor Marcos has no idea at this point. Roll me a D100.
$89.
Okay. 89. Hold on. All right. Suddenly, as you're making your way through the Fog Rock district, you notice you're getting... So, like, you were concentrating so much on not being noticed by this guy that you and your group are, like, clustered up and you're following him. You're, like, paying attention to them. You're looking at your surroundings. Suddenly, you're, like, within 20 feet of him because he stopped.
Okay.
And you, like, stop your crew and you realize that he is trying to press his way through a crowd, and the crowd is just bunched up all within, like, right at the edge of the market of the Fog Rock district. You hear a voice, like a loud voice, coming from ahead of him, ahead of all of you, but you can't quite make out what the voice is saying. You see there is a figure on what looks like a raised platform, probably the well, in the middle of the Fog Rock district. You see it's looks like maybe a half-orc who's wearing like a heavy coat, is holding like a big sheaf of parchment and is like shouting something. People seem confused as to what he's talking about.
Interesting. This seems like somebody holding court.
It seems, yeah. Maybe like they're almost like they're campaigning.
Okay.
Roll me
Can I
in.
roll
Huh?
perception or investigation to like understand what it is that they're saying a little bit better?
You can roll an perception
Okay.
to try and get maybe a little closer, or maybe listen a little better, isolate some of the background noise to understand what the hell. Okay.
Absolutely.
You have no idea what he's talking about. It's too jumbled amongst the muttering of the crowd in front of you, where basically you just hear like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm not really sure what it's people complaining about. Just roll me an insight check.
Okay.
With a 12, hold on. Oh. With a 12, you notice the features are not quite half-orc.
Interesting.
He has green skin, but the eyes are a little bit too wide. He doesn't really have tusks. It seems like he has fangs.
Okay. like maybe a more lizard folk kind of guy.
Face is not elongated like a lizard, but it's as tall as a half orc.
Strange. Do I have any sense of what kind of creature this might
Roll
be?
roll investigation.
Ooh, 20.
Uh, with a 20, it has the face of a goblin.
But he's real tall for a goblin.
Well, with that dirty 20, you notice he's a little shaky on his podium.
I think of the kobolds that sell us ice cream. Um, so he
You
seems
don't
like it's
actually see his feet.
okay. Because he's hovering or because they're covered?
His coat is very long, reaches to the ground.
This is crazy. Okay. Do I get a sense of this guy that we're following? How is he like upset at the roadblock? Like what's going on?
He
How does
seems annoyed, and like you're close enough to him that you can kind of hear him muddle, and he's like, "What is this drivel? They have no idea what they're talking about." It's just he's trying to skirt his way around the crowd now.
I'm gonna minor illusion a sound of someone saying, "How many goblins are those?"
Okay, as you say that, you hear like some muttering in the crowd, like, "Wait, that is a goblin. How many goblins is that?" And then you hear the man up on the podium say, "There are no goblins!" It's clear he's now suddenly flustered. As he's got these parchments that he's like been holding up, and then he like presses them to his chest and he says, "There are no goblins about! Goblins are not allowed to run for council!" And he's just like that, he shouts that over everybody else. And then you hear somebody say, "So then why are you?" And he's like, "I'm not a goblin!" It's
Tam minor illusions back. That's right. You're 2 or 3 goblins.
you hear when you say that, like a number of people in the crowd begin to laugh. And you hear another voice say, "It is a number. Look it, it's even wobbling like one." And he just, "Oh, blast all of you! You'll never have progress!" And then he, like, you see he tries to hop down, but it's clear, like, the whole body wobbles way too much. And you hear, "Sorry," like, come from not his mouth.
Thank you for this insanity. This is fantastic.
You rolled it. I mean, as that happens, the crowd is like laughing at him, and the outer edges of it begin to disperse. And the gnome you're following suddenly is able to like make his way through, and you almost lose him in that moment. Please roll me perception, and I will roll one for Sigona and Wash. Okay, Sigona loses him because she's short. Okay, Wash does not. You do lose it, 100%. Yeah, he disappears in the crowd, and you're like, "Shit!" And Wash like puts her hand on your shoulder, and she says, "There, look."
Okay.
And you can see like people are parting, but you can't see his head because he's so damn short.
Great.
But it's like watching someone walk through a cornfield.
Sure.
So you begin to follow that direction, and thanks to Wash, you do not lose.
Thank you, Monk.
Yeah, you do not lose Marcos. And you continue. You have succeeded in that encounter of the stupid 3 goblins in a trench coat, Councilman.
Phenomenal. A+.
Okay. Next. All right. I need you to roll me another D100.
I gotcha.
35. Okay. You've made your way through the Fog Rock, like, market. Now, as you're making your way through the gates, out to Four Forges, you see your gnome target, who's now only, like, 20 feet away from you, makes his way through the gate. And you see the guards just kind of nod to him as he makes his way out. It's clear he's a known person. When you arrive at the gate, the guards say, "Hold! What's your business out in the Four Forges?"
What is out in the Four Forges? What do I know about that?
Roll history.
19.
The Four Forges along the river are kind of what's known as almost like the smithing docks. A lot of trade comes in the rivers, and almost immediately, a lot of the iron ore that's pulled in from the nearby mountains is just smelted in the Four Forges. Hence the name Four Forges.
Would it make sense that there's like an armory out there?
There's smiths, armories, metalworks, farriers. It's like the metal industry side of town.
Okay, great. I'm gonna say, new mercenary. Want to try to find a new armor, maybe a shield.
Roll me a deception. Because right now you look like a vanilla, like, plain guy.
But I still have my mirror guard. I guess I don't have my mirror guard stuff anymore. 15.
15. The guard looks at you. Sword for hire. You don't look like one.
Oh, we all gotta start somewhere.
I guess. You mind yourself. And in that, as he's talking to you, just the little gnome is getting farther and farther and farther up into the Four Forges. And this guard is like looking at you, and he looks your team up and down, and he says, "Well, you all look like you can handle yourselves. Make sure you keep this little guy just fine." And Hiram looks at the guard, and he just says, "Yep." The guard just shrugs and says, "Oh, off you go." I need you to roll perception. I need you and your team, just from the guard delaying you.
That's much better. 17.
Okay. This time, you and Sagona both keep track of him. And Wash loses him. He gets pretty far, so you kind of have to hurry, like scurry, to catch up to him. But you do. And you are within Four Forges now. 1 second. Okay. I need a D8.
Six.
Okay. Six. You are suddenly accosted. You specifically are suddenly accosted by this small halfling of a man who runs up to you, and he is like looking at you, and he says, "Would you like a caricature? It's only 2 silver. Please let me have your let me take your picture. I'll draw you a delightful, humorous image just so you can take home, show all your friends. It'll just take not but a minute."
I would really love to, friend, but I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I've got business.
What you mean? No one's in a hurry out in the Four Forges. You just sit here for a minute, and he's like walking backwards with you as you're trying to move.
I'm gonna give him 2 silver. I will promise I will come back as soon as I am done with my business, okay? And I'm gonna
roll a deception.
I actually will. It's not a deception. I absolutely will come back.
Okay, roll a persuasion.
Tam would love a caricature.
Oh my god.
27.
Okay, he takes the 2 silver and he's like, "Oh, I'll be over here. You come back quick now." And he finally stops like moving with you. And you hear Sagona mutter like, "9 hells, the fucking bowls on some of these fellas." And you keep moving. You were not delayed really, because you basically just threw money at him and kept moving. You keep track of Marcos. All right. 27. Okay, so as you keep your momentum going, you manage to catch up a little bit. You're only 50 feet away from Marcos at this point when he reaches the bridge, and he's walking across it. I need you to roll me a D2.
Oh, D2. That's slash D2, right?
Yeah, you can roll a d4 and divide it by 2 if you like.
Oh, yeah, that's easier. 1.
Okay. Tam, as you are approaching the bridge, you realize there is a riverboat coming through, and the bridge
Fuck.
begins to lift.
God damn it. So he's going to be on the other side of the bridge.
He's going to be on the other side of the bridge.
Can we still keep an eye on him from there? Like, can we still cross the bridge? What do we...
Okay, so you have a couple choices. As the bridge is lifting, guards suddenly like walk out in front of it to prevent people from trying to jump across, because it is dangerous. You could, well,
It's not Tam style.
you could try and swim across the Sithering, or you could wait and trust that you'll find him again in the red light district.
Are we allowed to swim across? Like, is that
I
something we would
mean,
get in trouble for?
you'd probably get in trouble.
Yeah, I feel like that would just delay us.
You could try and
Um,
sneak, or you can come up with some other solution.
Try to sneak across the river. How long does a riverboat take? Do I have a sense?
It's not moving super quick, but it's not going too slow either. You're probably going to be delayed maybe a minute and a half. 100%, if you wait for the boat, you will have to go find him again.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. Can I make a perception check for any sort of critters that might be around?
Yeah, roll perception.
Shit. 7.
A 7. You see... Well, hold on. Okay. Roll me a D100. A 10. You see near the nearest building, which is basically like an old... it looks like a coal, like, coke foundry, where they turn coal into coke. It's covered in soot. It's messy. It's dusty. And out behind it, you see there's a stray dog.
Great. I'm going to hold out. I'm gonna cast Speak with Animals on myself.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hold out some ration to this dog. And I'm gonna say, "Hey, buddy, could you follow that guy for me? Give you some food?"
Okay, so you reach out to this mutt who is a stray. It looks like he's hungry.
Yeah.
And as you say, "Hey, buddy," he looks and he goes, "Huh? What do you want? Huh?
So you see that gnome right there? That one right there with the black hair?
Uh-huh. What about him?"
Can you follow him for me? I'll give you some food.
And he
me where he
roll a persuasion.
I'm offering him food.
It's just a straight roll because it's a dog and they're very dumb.
15.
15. The dog looks at you and at the ration. Food first.
Food first. I'll give you some more later too.
Okay. Okay. What would he? The dog eats some of the ration. Well, eats the whole ration. He's like just. It's like it's gone.
He's hungry.
It's like it's not a huge dog. It looks like a mutt of like a mastiff and maybe like some sort of bloodhound.
Is he hurt at all? From being a
He's
stray?
hungry. He doesn't
he's
look
just-
hurt.
Okay.
The mutt looks at you after eating the ration. More food after I follow him?
More food after you follow him. You just gotta find me and tell me where he goes. We can't cross the bridge right now, so.
Okay. And the mutt like immediately runs into the river.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right. You You watch as this dog swims across the river, emerges on the other side, does the quick, like, shakes, and then just bounds off in the direction of where that gnome went.
Great.
You are stuck waiting here. It's the
Mm-hmm.
bridge is like the drawbridge is up, the boat slowly kind of meanders its way through, and then the bridge begins to lower itself back down. As it does, you hear this, and then the guards step to the side. It maybe took a minute and a half, 2 minutes for the boat to cross, and you can cross the bridge and enter the Southwark.
I will do so.
Okay. It's maybe like you've entered the Southwark, and this place is rundown is the wrong word. You get the impression that this is an old part of town. Maybe it was another town that was kind of absorbed into Augur City. But the Southwark now, on this side of the river, immediately there's a lot of fish. There's a lot of fisheries. There's a lot of fishing shops. There's a lot of like in-river inlets that let these riverboats come in and basically deposit their loads of fish. And then farther in from that and into the actual like business side of the Southwark, you've entered the red light district, and you know you have, because suddenly on every corner there are boarding houses with glowing lanterns that seem to almost be like a mockery of the high-end castle
Of the high
town.
end. I love that. That's great. Okay.
But the roads are cobbled. It looks like there are some guards out here, but there are very few. Much fewer than anywhere else in Augur City. And as you and your crew are walking through town, I don't want to say attractive, but scantily clad men and women kind of wave at you to see if you're interested. Some of them are okay. Some of them clearly have had better years of their life. It looks like companionship can be purchased for the right price anywhere in this area. And then, within 2 minutes, that same mutt bounds up to you. Found him.
Okay, where did he go? Where'd he go?
The mutt like turns around and begins just walking.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna feed him some more ration
Okay.
as we go.
He's just like eats it in like 2 bites, and then continues. You see, he leads the way to what is not a boarding house. You actually recognize a temple of Myrcella.
Oh, okay, great.
And the mutt sits down right out, like basically looking at this place.
And Marcella is. Do I remember?
Roll
Do I
religion.
remember? Okay. Something wine something. Natural 20! 24.
Oh, you know lots about Myrcella. Myrcella is considered kind of a self-interested goddess. Quote unquote evil, though it's never so black and white.
Sure.
Myrcella is sort of the self-interested god of ambition, wealth, doing well for oneself, and, success. But also, she's the goddess of pleasure from pain.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
kind of the goddess of BDSM.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense that there would be a temple of this here.
You see over the door is a symbol of a wine glass with a single coin inside. You recognize immediately as Myrcella's symbol.
Okay. Will this dog let me scritch his ears?
You fed him 2 rations now? He's friendly to you.
Okay, great. I'm going to scritch this dog's ears. Do you have a name, buddy?
No?
Cool. If you want one, if you want to just stick around here, we got some business, but I like you and I would like to pet you some more if you want to stay here.
If you got more food, okay.
Okay. um, I imagine the rest of the party assembles outside the Temple of Marcella.
Everyone's like right with you, and they
Oh,
just see you going at this dog, and the dog, who is kind of mangy,
yeah.
is you know very much bone thin. Like some of the like Hiram seems to respect what you're doing and understands exactly what's going on. Sigona's like, what the fuck? But she's not
Um,
questioning you.
I'm gonna pat his head and say, "All right, he went in here."
The mutt's tail wags, and Sigona says, all right, so how do we handle this? Do we go in or do we wait? How long? I mean,
Well,
he's only been there for a minute, for sure, because we were right behind him.
really, that's true, but if we're supposed to overhear his conversation, I don't know if we're supposed to get information from him, right? We're supposed to figure out who he's talking to.
Aye.
So, I think we do have to go in there.
Skolna says, I know these places. If we get a table, get a drink, I can slip around and see if I can find him.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Hiram says, I'll wait out here.
Okay, yeah. You can the dog doesn't have a name, but you could give him one if you want. He seems hungry.
Hiram looks at you. Why would I name him?
I don't know, because he's a dog.
I feel like he should choose his name or earn it.
I like that. Okay, we'll go in. You stay here with the dog.
Hiram shrugs as your crew begins to head towards the
He did
Temple of
help us
Marcella.
out.
I understand.
um, okay, we go inside and we get a table.
Okay. As you head into the Temple of Marcella,
End the session there.
that is where we're going to call the session.
We got it. We got there.
You
Yay.
did. You made it. You found where the gnome retreated to.
Speaking with animals was useful. Yay.
Spell is underrated, honestly.
It truly is.
As we get to the end of the session, I want to thank you for playing with me. And to those of you who are at home or at work listening, hi, Penn and Emily and everybody else, we love you all. And I wish you all a good night.